if you're in Matthew, hang a left and go to Malachi. Matthew and Malachi hang out all the time. They're right next to each other. They're big buddies. And so we're just going to read what God said about the subject of marriage in Malachi chapter 2. This is huge. Malachi chapter 2, we're going to start in verse 13. The Bible says this. Another thing you do, and by the way, God's dealing with so much in the book of Malachi. It's loaded, 4 chapters. Just go home and read it tonight. It's good stuff. Another thing you do, you flood the Lord's altar with tears. You weep and wail because he no longer pays attention to your offerings or accepts them with pleasure from your hands. You ask, why? Now let me stop right here and kind of explain what's going on. The people in this culture were showing up to church. They were trying to worship. They were trying to honor God, and God wasn't moving. God wasn't doing anything significant in their lives. And they were confused. And they were like, God, I don't understand. You're not doing anything significant in my life. You're not blessing me. I'm really having a hard time with this. Why, God, do I not feel close to you? And so God answers them, and he says this. You ask why? It is because the Lord is acting as the witness between you and the wife of your youth. Because you have broken faith with her, though she is your partner, the wife of your marriage. And what's that last word say? Now, let's say that a little bit stronger. What's the last word say? Covenant. Marriage is a covenant, not a contract. A contract is when you enter into an agreement with a person and you say, I will do this as long as you do this. And as long as I'm doing my part and you do your part, this relationship is going to work out well. But the moment you break your contract, I will break my contract. And unfortunately, that is the way that we approach marriage all too often. But God says marriage is a covenant. And when we enter into a covenant with someone, we say this, I love you no matter what. No matter what happens, I'm going to love you. I don't care how crazy things get, I'm going to love you. Because that's the commitment that God makes to us through his Son, Jesus Christ. God doesn't say, I'm going to love you as long as you're perfect, because if we had to be perfect to be loved by God, every one of us would be screwed. God said, I love you no matter what. And that's the commitment that we need to be willing to make to each other in marriage. It's a covenant, not a contract.